A lot of changes coming on the business front for Oklahoma and the NCAA. We'll discuss all that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Just tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. You want to be a part of our next mailbag segment? Make sure you drop a question on YouTube or on social media. Just tag mailbag in the comments so we know to look for it and we can feature it on one of our upcoming shows. Jay, there's been some changes in the Oklahoma Sooners administration. Curtis Lofton, the general manager for the program, for the football program, has resigned, citing a desire to pursue a calling in the ministry.
Yeah, first off, proud of him for that. When the calling comes, you should take it. You know, it's always something you feel in your spirit whenever you do it, you know, especially for those believers or whatnot. I definitely appreciate that is the direction he probably wants to go for himself. And there's been rumors about, potential changes and stuff going on at the front office there at Oklahoma, because now we're about to get into the new era of, college football civilization. Things are about to really start changing, and it's going to be fast and furious. So him deciding that, this is probably the best time for me to step away come February 1st is what he said on Facebook. February 1st, he steps away, and then you're going to see a new regime in the front office and running things, probably headed up by Jake Rosenberg and his, the athletic group, consultation group around this stuff. So they'll probably help implant who will be the new general manager, get everything up and running. But, of course, we wish Curtis Lofton the best going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting timing because we're starting to see more clarity come out with the revenue sharing, with the future of collectives and Title IX and how all this is going to come to be in the future. But Oklahoma's they're restructuring and they're trying to create a situation. And I say restructuring. Curtis Lofton stepping away is not, it's his decision. I think he would have been very much a part of the program and a part of the future had he stayed. It's going to be fascinating to see what the GM role looks like moving forward, because GM roles in professional sports, they handle all kinds of decision-making, from revenue distribution, like the salary cap, how to delineate who gets what at what position groups, how much they prioritize certain position groups, the vision for a program, the vision for a team. Generally, that's been the head coach. Usually the head coach is the one driving the vision for a program. How much will the general manager have a say in how the vision for the program looks? How much will they have a say in player acquisition? Because at the NFL level, Major League Baseball, NBA, we got a guy in Sam Presti in Oklahoma City who is very much guiding the direction in the future of Oklahoma City Thunder basketball. So how much will they have a say in it? That's going to be the part I'm really curious about, because for 100 years, the head coach has been the owner, the GM, the president, the vice president of player operations, the head coach. He's been everything. He's been the cap manager, whether it was legal or illegal. He was the dude running all of it. The head scout, all of it. So I'm curious to see how this looks, because it wouldn't surprise me to see former GMs come into the college ranks, getting opportunities because of their experience at the NFL level. You're seeing a Michael Lombardi, who had a lot of years of experience with the New England Patriots and across the NFL. He's following Bill Belichick to North Carolina. So again, just fascinated. After years of covering the NFL, now that world is merging with my college football coverage.
It is, yeah. It's becoming all the same because, and like you said, you'll probably see even more younger guys too get those opportunities and the chance to be able to prove themselves. They may have been wanting a opportunity to get out there and become a GM, and they probably got overlooked, which is quite common at the at the NFL, right? Because it's only 32 jobs. Now it's 131 opportunities for you to learn, at least cut your teeth in how to do at the D1 level, where there's more money to deal with, and if you want to go lower, you can. But they're going to get a true opportunity to be able to do that, and so yeah, I could totally see some of the younger GMs coming up. Up and coming guys getting leaving the NFL, coming to try to learn how to deal with this monster, which is a great way of proving your ability to handle chaos. could lead you right back to the NFL. So
Yeah.
I think you're spot on too here, John. I wonder, because this is the question I have, is what Brent Venables' involvement is going to be in this. I honestly feel like, depending on who he decides to get in at defensive coordinator, if he doesn't do it himself, this will lead to an opportunity where he can truly go into a CEO role, and he has very heavy involvement with his GM on how that's ran. That would be very fascinating to me on how exactly he wants to do this, because it makes a lot of sense for BV to be involved with trying to figure out the money portion of it, because here's where the struggle comes in to me, John. No matter what you do, after a season is complete, players are going to ask for more money. You get them in, they're willing to show their worth, and if they start showing their worth, they're going to ask for more money. And the reason is because no matter what, others are going to ask the same thing. Other schools are going to be looking at them like, hey, we got a starting spot open. You can be a backup there, but you can come start here. In which, to be honest, isn't that what fans wanted? Didn't they want parity? More good players spread around so more teams like, Ohio State and Notre Dame can play in the national championship? That's what everybody, says they want until it actually happens. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to manage that money, that cap, like you said, merging the two worlds of the pros to college, of managing that number, because once you get that cap number during this current TV contract era, you have to ask the question of, how much do I allot to this guy? Does my quarterback, does John Mateer get, we're going to allot him 15% of the cap? We're going to allot the offensive line the additional 15%, and the defensive line another 15%. Or, you can go 20, 40, 60, and then the rest is just leftovers, and you get like one big name player, and the rest are whoever. No matter what, that money's going to have to keep being balanced. That budget sheet's going to be managed every single week. And that's what's going to be a fascinating thing to see how they figure that out.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, because again, a lot of times the alignment between the GM and the head coach is so important, so that the GM is acquiring players that fit what the head coach is wanting to accomplish. So you're not ending up bringing in a Jonte Cook that's not going to be a program fit for Oklahoma or Washington or maybe even Texas
or anybody else. Yeah.
And so how much do they work in concert? And that is where the Jim Knowles piece makes a lot of sense, man. If they are able to somehow, some way lure him away from Ohio State, plug him in as the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma, it really frees Brent Venables up to just be a part of the CEO aspect and then the player acquisition aspect, working with the GM and their scouting department and really honing in on the players that they want for the program. And that's where you see good NFL programs, NFL organizations work really, really well, is the head coach goes to the GM and says, hey, this is what I'm looking for. The GM says,
what I need.
Yeah, the GM says, bet, here's how we're going to prioritize what you're looking for. And here's how we're going to prioritize it against the cap and with our draft compensation, our draft slots. We're not going to go draft a kicker in the first round like the Raiders did once upon a time. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to prioritize the positions that matter the most on a football field. And then they just kind of work in harmony. And I'm also curious about this, and this might be a discussion for another time, but is there a former player out there that, like Curtis Lofton, could be a fit as a GM for the Oklahoma Sooners? I not one like jumps off the top of my head, but I'm sure that there are guys out there that got the business acumen to be able to step into that kind of a role.
Yeah. That's the question, is what former player do we feel like could possibly do that? I guess to even add to that, what former player has some actual experience in at least scouting to be able to do that? That's going to be that's a good question. I'm
going to get the Googles out and we'll talk about that sometime next week. But Jay, the NCAA is creating more advice or offering more structure maybe, or more guidance, or not so much guidance on NIL and the future of rev sharing at the collegiate level. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.